Hi, I'm Gretchen,
And I'm Becca.
and we're two curious ladies on an adventure to learn more about cooking, cannabis.
And the fine art of gluttony. Join us every 10 days or so as we get high and make our way through a recipe.
Step inside and let the consumption begin. Hello, Becca.
Hi, Gretchen.
Are you excited? I'm
I'm
excited.
so excited. I've been trying hard not to use excited every time we start, but today there's no other word I want to use. I'm very excited. This has been a long time coming. We started talking about making root beer in like the spring.
Yeah, I think so.
It's been a long time coming. And even then, it's taken us about 2 weeks to get to this point that we're at right now.
Yep.
And we're going to taste it. We're going to make root beer floats ultimate.
Yes.
And we're going to put our ice cream into some molds right now. And because it's been sitting out, we've intentionally trying to soften our ice cream a little bit, we're going to put it back in the freezer after we form it into our molds. Gretchen has really fun little pumpkin shape molds, and I have plain old boring squares, but it's going to be great.
Molded ice cream in any form is great. Like, I'm sorry. I'm still excited about your cubes, even though they're just cubes. It's fun.
Yeah, they're big cubes. So it is
Yeah.
a fun,
Yeah,
fun shape.
it's fun.
It's fun. We're gonna shape, mold, get our ice cream going. It's of course not just plain old ice cream. We're doing extra things to it, or we've enhanced the flavor in some different way than you'd expect because this is high gluttony. So we'll get into that in a minute. We're gonna sit down and have a lot of chatting to do. Let's shape. Let's mold.
Let's mold some ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice and soft.
Oh yeah. I know. I didn't need to soften it as much as I did.
Your hands will be grateful.
Yes, this is true. Need a spoon. So I just glommed a whole bunch into the first mold, and I can't even be sure if it's packed in tight. So I think I should pack it in, do like a layer, and then do another layer.
Okay.
It does seem to still be mostly intact. The ice cream doesn't melt too much. It's kind of perfect.
Yay.
Should we talk about what our ice creams are? Because we didn't make them.
I
We
guess we might as
cheated.
well. Yeah, we did not make the ice cream.
I bought Van Leeuwen, and this is a pumpkin cheesecake with graham cracker crust French ice cream.
Ooh, pumpkin.
Yes. And
Yeah, we had a hard time. Oh, yeah.
what are you working with over there?
Well, I was going to say we had a hard time determining what pairs well with root beer, especially homemade root beer. And we're going to get into a lot of the ingredients because they're very unusual. And we were really stumped on what would be the best pairing. I originally wanted to make a simple syrup from the herbs that we use for the root beer. And then I decided I didn't want to do that this morning. And I made a ginger simple syrup instead.
Nothing wrong with that. I like
Yeah.
the bold, spicy ginger as an option. Really hoping these pumpkins are going to turn out okay.
How many are there? How many are you making?
I'm going to get 4 out of this. So they're about a
Nice.
half cup a piece. Be good.
Okay. I'm making 4 too.
I might save just a smidgen of for non-molded that'll go in the bottom of my glass to get the root beer float foaminess started.
Oh, right. Absolutely. Good thinking.
Yes, just a little bit. I got like a couple tablespoons worth. That'll be perfect for when we do that. Getting into my fridge again. In we go. Hopefully this will work. Oh, whoa. Some rich ice cream. I had not tasted it yet.
Wow.
I'm intrigued.
Well, you might need that to hang with the root beer today.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Yeah, they weren't kidding about the cheesecake part of that component.
Okay, into the freezer.
Into the freezer.
Here we go.
And then I'm going to grab a little sample of the root beer.
You.
They were very
You were
specific.
saying, oh,
They were very specific about putting it over ice, so I'm getting some ice in a glass right
oh, good point.
now. And what were you about to say, Becca?
Can I say, after all this work and all this time, we're very anxious about what this is going to taste like because what if we don't like it and we've got this whole float planned and everything? This is a big moment right up at the beginning. This doesn't usually happen till the end.
All right.
I'm pouring.
Me too.
Have you poured? Okay, okay. I thought you were saying, all right, like, don't do it that way.
No, no, just pouring it in the glass. Well, the fermentation is definitely set, as they said, because
Uh-huh.
there's not a lot of action in this. It's not a heavily fizzy drink.
Yeah, I just have a little bit of bubbles around the edges.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready?
Let's do this.
3, 2, 1.
There's so much going on.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, I don't think.
Same, same. But they're one of the flavors I'm not familiar with it. So I'm really not sure what it is. But it's almost like I've got like a savory thing going on in mine. Do you have any like savoriness to yours?
I don't right now. I did it like early on, and then it got really sweet, and now I have like not it's like medicinal, but it's not a chemical, and
Yeah,
my tongue feels a little numb. Does your tongue feel numb?
a little bit.
Well, it makes sense because we'll get into why, but these ingredients, like we said, there's a lot going on here, and a lot of them are rooted in medicine or
Yes.
ways that it was used for health. I'm going to say a success. Hopefully, as it sits a little more with the ice, it'll just get even better.
Yeah.
But I've got to put mine back in the fridge and then put my regular ice cream back in the on ice cream. We did it, Gretchen.
Wondering what it is that's so savory in mine. It's weird because it's almost like a Parmesan cheese like flavor, which is just weird.
Didn't you say one of them is used in a region of Parma?
So the licorice root is used in a lot of places,
Oh, uh-huh.
and they use licorice root in Reggio Emilia to make a different type of soft drink. I also have some questions because I was wondering, I know they're all supposed to be dried, but to me the herbs didn't seem like they were the freshest. Almost wondering if I could do better on sourcing as far as like the ingredients and have it turn out a little bit less or have a little bit more of a punch to it, I guess. I'm thinking if the herbs were a little bit fresher, it'd have a little more punch.
Sure. Like we said, there's so much going on. I'm having a hard time identifying. And you mentioned this, and we were talking about this before, that we have a lot of these ingredients we've never had in isolated circumstances. It's very hard to have them all thrown together in what's basically a beer tea. And then try to figure out what we like or don't like about it. It's very difficult to identify. Should we talk about what's going on in the oh no, okay, we're still smoking. We're still
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to relax before we get into this. We just wanted to taste the root beer right up front because if it was awful, we might have to rethink our strategy. I'm glad we got that out of the way. It does taste good. I'm going to sip on it now. And we are going to get into all of these ingredients and how we used them to get up to this point. But before that, let's talk a little bit about what we're smoking. I am doing some Stizzy again. I've used this in the past. I do enjoy some Stizzy. This one is Apple Tarts number 7. It's got 22.5% THC, then 8.7 milligrams per gram limonene, followed by 5.4 of caryophyllene and 4 of linalool. None of my humulene that was popping up for a while, and limonene's back up here at the top. But I am glad to have it. I feel quite energized and I'm ready to absorb some stuff. We split up the ingredients because there were so many. So I'm glad to learn and share what I've learned with Gretchen. But what are you smoking over there, Gretchen?
I am having some Oreos blended with Frida because we know that makes me into a bit of a chatty Cathy. So always a little bit good for these episodes. Hasn't hurt me yet. I do know I like to talk quite a bit, get off the rails. Hopefully it's not too wild. But I am having that out of my Zenko vaporizer that I love, 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 love. I'm gonna have that. Should we just kind of go through the weird ingredients first, or all the ingredients? I don't know. Which do you think we should do?
Maybe we should say all of them, and then we can start back up at the top and go back and forth a little.
Okay, sounds good to me.
We started with 10 cups of water. 3 tablespoons of sarsaparilla root, 1 tablespoon of ginger root, 1 tablespoon of licorice root, 2 teaspoons dandelion root, 2 teaspoons birch bark, 1 star anise pods, 1/4 cup sassafras bark, and then 3/4 of a cup of unrefined cane sugar, which we are familiar with, and 1/2 cup of ginger bug, which we will talk about in a minute, but that was just comprised of ginger root and sugar and water. That was a 2-week process in the whole for all of those ingredients to get to where we are today. Let's start with, I guess, sarsaparilla right up at the top.
Yeah, sounds good. Sorry, I forgot that the sarsaparilla was right at the top and that I should have been reading the ingredients, but I had to smoke.
Forgot. Well, how did that taste? How are you post?
Oh, yeah, I'm good. You know, it tastes good. The Oreos and the Frida, you know, I'm so spoiled with all the Jeters and the lime joints that like I've been smoking because they have the flavor infused into them. I'm just a little spoiled by that. So now regular weed tastes boring.
It might be hard to distinguish any flavors after the strong root beer.
That's true. That's true. It's definitely got its own flavor.
Yes. Yes. And when I was reading the ingredients, I forgot that I didn't have any star anise.
Right.
So I'm missing that flavor also. I added clove and
aniseed or fennel?
Fennel seed.
Which I think is a good substitute. It's
But we are tasting different things.
True.
Because of that too.
True. Very true.
So much going on. As we read the ingredients, a lot of those are very unfamiliar. We'll start with sarsaparilla since it was at the top. It is a tropical plant. It is not something that I would have expected to be a tropical plant because my association with it is like a sarsaparilla soda and something that is like old timey like root beer. I'm thinking of westerns and like old cowboys.
Yes,
tropical,
absolutely.
Vibrant places in the rainforest. So that was a surprise right away. There are 350 species, and it's a climbing woody vine that does grow in the canopy of the rainforest, which is surprising to me. It's native to South America, Jamaica, the Caribbean, Mexico, Honduras, and the West Indies. And it does have some chemicals in it that can help decrease pain and swelling. We're going to talk a lot about the medicinal properties of these ingredients, and starting with sarsaparilla, pain and swelling. I don't know if my tongue is swelling or feeling numbed because of that, or is it something different? Well, it could be any one of these.
It also could be the light amount of alcohol that exists in this because it's fermented. That's true. That is a little bit of a possibility.
Mm-hmm. In addition to decreasing pain and swelling, it also might help kill cancer cells or slow down their growth. And it has also been shown to help with rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, eczema, and dermatitis.
I've been missing sarsaparilla as part of my, what's the word I want?
Pain management.
Pain management, yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm sure there's reasons why people don't use it commonly, and there's a reason why they did use it a lot. I didn't get into this because I didn't want to spend too much time away from what we were talking about, but there was a line in the resource I used that said, don't confuse sarsaparilla with German sarsaparilla. These are not the same.
And that's it?
Didn't go to any other detail.
That's funny. Hang on. Now I'm curious about what German sarsaparilla is.
Okay, we'll look up what German sarsaparilla is, and I'm going to keep going. For a long time, the root of sarsaparilla was used for treating joint problems, including arthritis, and the root has also been shown to help cure leprosy. It says due to its, quote, blood purifying properties, which was a little bit of an interesting choice of words.
It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. Yeah. If you hear anything about pH balancing, neutralizing, or toxin
Purifying.
removal, yeah, fuck off. Like that's none of that is real. It's not a real
Yeah.
thing that
Your body does
happens.
it. Yeah.
Your body does it.
But at some point, it was introduced into European medicine and was eventually registered as an herb in the United States pharmacopoeia to treat syphilis.
Really?
Yeah. And as a herb, it's called a synergist. And it what it means is that when it's combined with other things, it enhances the absorption of the good nutrients in the other thing. It's like a little like amplifier in your body to absorb other nutrients.
Hmm.
I know.
Kind of like all our terpenes or something, like
Yeah.
what is that? The entourage effect.
Yeah, that exactly. What a good comparison. And I don't know if it was this sarsaparilla, maybe it was a dandelion, but something was mentioning that one of these had a lot of terpenes, which makes sense. I'm sure a lot of these have terpenes that we're
Yeah.
just not aware of and people aren't necessarily researching. But okay, that's my time.
Yep, that's your time.
The next one was ginger root, which we skipped. We're gonna skip because we've used ginger before and there's not too much to say for us that's new, I guess. But let's move on to Gretchen with licorice root.
I feel like you had so much more on sarsaparilla that I feel a little sad about my licorice root research, but really there's not a ton about it. They do think that it has some of those assisting with detoxifying effect. I actually like the taste of it. It is very sweet, and that's because the glycyrrhizin. Yeah, the glycyrrhizin. You're right, glycerin, because it would definitely sounded like glycerin.
Oh, glycerin,
yeah,
good call.
Glycyrrhizin. Yep. There we go. It's a chemical that's actually 50 times sweeter than sugar. So it's a great thing to enhance the sweetness in foods, teas. I've seen it used a lot in various teas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, oh, I really love this tea. I find out it has licorice root in it. Oh, it's sweet. That's why.
Yeah, it's wild to think of something that's 50 times sweeter than sugar, but that's great that you can use a lot less of it then too.
Right. Yes. I mean, we only used a teaspoon in 10 cups of water or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it definitely is there. Like, I probably could have tuned it up a little bit more. Like, I could have added a little bit more of the licorice root, but it's my first time. We're following the recipe. I found another one from Spruce Eats. We'll try that one next. Oh, how long do I have for licorice root?
2.
Okay. Well, now we've got 2. Anyway.
Okay.
In the Netherlands and Britain, they actually would chew on the dried licorice roots as a candy of sort. So
like a licorice rope, kind of.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Although almost no licorice is actually flavored with licorice at all anymore. It's like, no wonder I fucking hate licorice. That's not licorice. That's fucking anise. I hate anise.
Everything's confusing now. We were saying earlier, this doesn't count in your time. We were saying earlier that they've trained us to have all these flavors like root beer, like licorice, that they've made chemically based now, and just we drink or consume sugar with chemicals to mimic the flavor of real herbs and real roots and things that we could just have also. But okay, back to licorice.
Back to licorice. Yeah, so I would have never hated on licorice as much as I have in my entire life, had I known what it actually tastes like. But I only found out in like the last 10 years what it really tastes like. And it is supposed to have like sort of an anise-like flavor. But to me, it's so much more complex and so much sweeter. So it doesn't make sense to me what they were going for there. Somebody made a decision to went with it.
Really committed. Yeah.
I was also intrigued to find out that it's used in lots of regions as a drink, but in Reggio Emilia, they have that soda that is flavored with it. So I'm going to have to look for that the next time I'm in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that we don't actually use this as a sugar substitute is because it may have some health damaging things that'll happen with it. I couldn't quite nail down what it was and exactly what, for the licorice root, but they're like, we don't think it's good to consume a lot of it. There's a reason that they have not considered licorice root as a sweetener substitute.
That makes sense. It could probably be overconsumed pretty easily. And I also think about, we should say all of these probably have negative side effects, and we're not suggesting you just run out and start buying these or growing these or anything. We're just saying things they have been used for that we saw. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is the one I was actually able to find potential side effects for.
Oh, good.
If you've overconsumed, here are some of the potential side effects, which are increased blood pressure, electrolyte imbalance, edema, weight gain, heart problems, weakness, fatigue, shortness of breath, kidney failure, or paralysis. They really fuck with you. And as a result, actually, it's been historically used to flavor tobacco products, a lot of different ones. But as of 2009, it hasn't been allowed to be put into cigarettes. You can use it in any other type of product, like snuff or chewing tobacco. Rolling papers also appear to be infused with licorice on occasion. Those things are allowed, but you can't put it into cigarettes anymore. I think that was like, because they had also done away with anything other than menthol. They were like, okay, menthols are okay, but
Nothing
anything else.
Yeah.
Menthol cigarettes are disgusting. Okay, look, we don't have time for that, Gretchen. We don't have time for that. That's pretty much all I had to say about licorice root, other than I really love it. I think it's delicious.
I do too. There's a tea I used to get that same thing. I always thought I didn't like licorice, and I still don't really like a ton of that flavor. But in a tea with a bunch of other things, it does add such a nice sweetness. So I agree. We've been lied to about everything, but in this moment, licorice. So very cool. Good for a lot of things, but also potentially could cause a lot of things. So tread lightly there. Next is dandelion.
Yes.
I love dandelions. I have become a bit of a dandelion evangelist. This was like when I learned about pigeons, and now I'm like, save all the pigeons. But okay, dandelion root. This was a fun read. It says, although it's often dismissed as little more than a stubborn lawn weed, dandelion has been used in many forms of traditional medicine for centuries. Not only can the leaves, roots, and flower add a pop of color to your plate, but they're also often found in herbal teas and supplements, or they're used as natural remedies for blood sugar management, skin aids, helping with your liver, and heart health. So you can eat it whole, as you do other root vegetables. But yeah, every part of it pretty much is edible and has benefits on its own. So the greens can be eaten raw or cooked, and they are a great source of vitamins like A, C, and K, and vitamin E. They also contain minerals like iron, calcium, magnesium, and potassium. All good things, especially that magnesium and potassium. Gretchen's muted, so
yeah, like incredibly healthy thing. The major issue with dandelion greens, in my opinion, is they are incredibly bitter.
Sure.
So
raw is tough.
Raw is tough, unless you're somebody that loves bitter, but it tastes as healthy as it is. So that's my main point.
Maybe we should try to find a recipe sometime and make them.
Actually, we'll talk about that later today. So
okay. Ooh, fun.
Fun. Not for this, but for
okay.
Sorry, I'm going to give you another 2 minutes on dandelions because I interrupted you. But yes, they are really good for you. You just have to figure out how to make them palatable for yourself.
Yeah. So. I've heard that the flower is very sweet. And I think we saw a recipe where you can fry it.
Fry them. Yeah, we saw that online. That
would be cool.
Cool
Black Forager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was she on something that
I think so.
You sent me? Or was she on something that I was just listening to and she like came up at the like
I didn't send you that.
I don't know. Anyway, sorry, totally off the track. But yeah, anyway. Yeah.
It's
Let's
great.
fry
Yeah,
some tops.
awesome.
Yeah.
Flowers, roots, greens, all of it. So we've been talking about the greens for the most part so far. The root is rich in a type of soluble fiber that is really good for your gut health, which is, as we're learning, super important more and more. A lot of things are being associated to your gut health. So very important to help with that digestion. It does have a lot of antioxidants, which it said might one of the reasons why it's used to help with inflammation. Again, some good benefits there for inflammation and arthritis. And then it's also been shown to reduce cholesterol, lower your blood pressure, and treat constipation. That's something that's happening for you.
Is that the root or the whole thing? Sorry, I was
The root.
the root. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The leaves had all of the like vitamins and minerals, and then the root has the gut health and the inflammation stuff.
Cool.
This I thought was pretty cool. It said in one study, so obviously not like very comprehensive, but in one study, yeah, the leaf and the flower, but not the root, was shown to prevent skin damage when it was applied just before or immediately after exposure to sunlight. Yeah. So interesting. Not the root, but the leaf and the flower.
Still fascinating.
Yeah. I know.
We've really undervalued the dandelion as a plant in our culture.
And it said right up front that it's like a lawn weed. We let them just grow in our backyard this past spring, and they got like 4 feet tall, and they were so pretty.
But they were like the yellowhead kind?
Yeah.
Wild.
Wild, literally. Yeah.
Yes. Literally.
There was a show I watched. It's like a design show in the UK called Grand Designs. And the host says one time, somebody says something about needing to remove a tree because it's a weed, basically. And the host said, a weed is anything in the wrong place. And I thought that was very interesting. So don't let your dandelions grow. But yeah.
It's amazing because in France, they don't, or at least when we were in one area of France, I think this was when we were in Bordeaux, it seemed like they didn't care about getting rid of dandelions. They just let them grow. And I'm like, now I understand why. Also, there are benefits to letting it grow for your garden because it grows such an impressive taproot. So first of all, they're a biannual, so it takes 2 years for them to go through their entire process. But once they're done, they're done. Of course, if you let the seeds blow all over the place, then yeah, you're going to get like a lot more. Yeah. I'm never done because I always have weeds and I don't pull them up like so much that I get all the root usually. I let them grow back because the rabbits love them. So, you know, I've got additional uses for that here. Maybe that's why my bunnies are usually so healthy and their gut health just is in great shape. They've been eating all those dandelion roots.
Yeah, let's start doing it. You and me, popping a root every once in a while or a flower.
Right?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So we love the dandelion root. Next is birch bark, which is me. But I think maybe you should do star anise before I do birch.
Star anise is the seed pod from the Illicium verum plant. The oil is used in a lot of personal care products. So we're talking shampoos, deodorants, toothpaste, perfumes. I mean, everything that you could want as a personal care product. They probably used some oil from the star anise in.
Cool.
It is one of the major flavorings of pho, and the compound in it, anethiol, which is also part of anise, which is why it tastes like anise, I'm guessing. But anise is a completely unrelated plant, so no genetic sharing there, unfortunately.
Is anise related to licorice?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
Because licorice is actually a bean. It's a legume. And anise is an herb, if I'm not mistaken.
So interesting.
Yeah.
And then star anise is different from anise and licorice.
Yes. It's actually a tree that bears fruit, I believe.
Oh, and then you get oil from the fruit?
Yeah.
Like olive, kind of.
Right. But it's, yes, just the seed part of it is.
Okay.
I didn't get into too much of the biology of this.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just interesting that they're all different, but anise and licorice, or anise and star anise have something that makes them taste similar. And licorice kind of has that same taste, but it's different still
Yeah.
from the others.
Yeah, that's the whatever. Anyway, that other thing that's really hard to pronounce. But star anise has its own thing that's hard to pronounce. That this little factoid was really fascinating to me is that not 90% of the star anise crop up until I think it was like 2012 maybe was used for shikimic acid, which is a precursor as part of the synthesis of the influenza drug Tamiflu. So if you get the flu, they will prescribe you Tamiflu to help fight the virus.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So the simulated flu drug comes from a base that's in star anise. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So you use the star anise to make the shikimic acid, and then you use that shikimic acid in the production of Tamiflu. But in around 2012, they discovered that there's a way to synthesize it from the E. coli bacteria, which is more efficient than having to like press all the star anise. Like if you can just have the bacteria produce it, and there's a way to, I'm assuming, centrifuge it out. It's probably a lot simpler than having to crush and work on this whole shikimic acid thing from that end. Now they make it with E. coli bacteria somehow. Weird.
The things you learn when making root beer.
Yeah. Who knew?
Who knew? Very interesting. What a curious little seed.
Yeah. Had no idea.
Yeah, same. Of course, none of this.
No.
I'll close my portion out with birch bark pretty quick. This was, again, very unusual, and this is the bark of a birch tree. And for a long time, this tree has been known to provide analgesic painkiller properties. It also is anti-inflammatory, astringent, which is like what? Like cleaning?
Astringent is more tannin.
Oh, like
lemon,
kind of.
That drying sensation from like wine or tea. That's astringent. So
okay. And it also is very aromatic and is known to help assist the body in reducing fever. It said, I think there was a note I saw that said that for some reason, some people think that birch bark limits your ability to fight COVID, but I didn't see that anywhere else, and I don't get it. But
no.
Right, I don't know. Yeah. But it does say the easiest way to gain all of the benefits of birch is to make it into a tea, which is basically what we did with all of these things. Everything says great for tea. That's what we did.
We made a tea. We made a tea and fermented it. Yeah.
Last one here is the sassafras. Tell me what you learned about sassafras, Gretchen. Very controversial.
It's super weird. I forgot to look up where it's native to because I got very excited about the fact that they call it fennel wood because of the way that it tastes / smells. The leaves are used in filet powder, which is a thickening agent for gumbo. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the other use for sassafras. That's the most common one.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that it was a thickener. That's very cool, or could be used to make a thickener.
It has a very particular taste that you really need if you want like a gumbo flavor. You need that sassafras. Like you need that filet powder because there's just no other way to like get it. And by the way, filet is spelled like file. So yeah,
I was like, oh, file powder.
No, yeah. Filet powder.
No. Do you think the sassafras is the kind of savory thing that you're tasting?
It could be. It definitely could be if I'm just not really super familiar with the flavor of that on its own. Definitely could be because it was the ingredient that smelled the most woody to me when I put it in. Because the birch was very neutral. Sassafras was a bark too, correct? That's what we use, sassafras bark?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, sorry. Oh, sassafras root bark is what we're using. Sorry. sarsaparilla is just root. So we've got the sarsaparilla root. But yeah, I mean, almost all of it is to a degree edible. I don't think you can just eat the wood off the tree. That probably won't make you very happy because I'm sure it doesn't taste that great.
Totally. Got to make a tea first.
Yeah, but it does say that the leaves and flowers can be used in salads. So, and as a flavoring agent. I believe it said specifically also that the flowers were used on meat a lot of the time. Then you can also just eat the twigs fresh off the tree or dried. The roots can be dug up, peeled, dried, and then made into tea. May have some analgesic and antiseptic properties.
Kind of like the birch.
Kind of like the birch, yes. But yes, also this may be why we're getting all that numbness, is that analgesic.
Totally.
That is 100% what that feeling it would be.
From two things too.
Yeah, good to know. It works on making your tongue numb. You could also, early toothbrushes were created from sassafras twigs because it had kind of that like kind of a minty medicinal like aromatic to it.
And if it's numbing, if you have any like tooth pain,
true,
that's probably helpful too.
I want to grow everything. Can I grow everything in the whole wide world?
Once we have our not compound homestead,
yes.
Then we can. High gluttony not compound.
The non-compound.
Yeah. Close this out with sassafras here.
Yes. So I just have two more things. I've got that the wood is valuable. It is used for building things, but Native Americans used it as a fire starter because of the high oil content. It was very good at catching on fire.
Cool.
Yeah. It's like how they say like eucalyptus trees can explode. I'm assuming a similar thing can happen with sassafras.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the last thing that I did not know about until I went to work and told my coworkers that we were doing root beer and they were asking about sassafras, and my coworker asked, "Isn't that the one that's like makes MDMA?" And I was like, I mean, I guess that's possible. And apparently, yes. It is not how you would officially make MDMA. They specifically said clandestine MDMA, so like home manufacture, I'm guessing. Home manufacture. So it's true. That's why it's heavily regulated at this point, is that because you can make MDMA with it.
That makes sense. I think it was in sarsaparilla soda up until they figured out that it had that potential side effect, and then it was like pulled from the soda. I know for sure, probably everything. But wow, there's a lot going on in this little root beer concoction.
Yeah, it's like the US government doesn't want us to have any fun with any drugs.
No.
They just want us to be bad on soda.
And pharmaceuticals. Well, I think that covered all the ingredients that were unusual. We did use sugar, and we did make what's called a ginger bug. And we have done that in the past when we made ginger beer, lime pickles, and preserved lemons way, way back. So we have done something similar, but this time it was a little bit different. And I'm saying that because we did kick off our 2-week process with making the ginger bug first. That was step 1 in the whole thing. And what did we do from there, Gretchen?
Our recipe came from the Nourished Kitchen for this. This is, obviously kind of based on what they have. Their ginger bug is a natural fermentation. So what we're doing is we mix together some ginger root, and they recommend dicing it because, one, it's easier to strain out if it's diced versus grated. It just makes it a little bit easier to deal with, I guess, might be the other part of that. And we used a tablespoon of sugar, I think, right? Or something like that. It wasn't very much.
Either 1 to 2 tablespoons of sugar and an ounce of ginger for the first go.
Correct. And then we let that sit overnight, and we fed it like our ginger beer way back when. And just using the natural yeast, and especially I think because we're in harvest time here in Napa Valley, there's a lot of free yeast floating around. So mine went right away, and I like the flavor on mine. It's really good.
And just to clarify, when you say feeding, that is a daily process of adding more ginger root and more sugar.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And that went on for at
A
least
week.
5 days,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. At least a little bit more. But yeah.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
So we had our ginger going. That was our baseline. We needed that first. And then next we had to start our root beer tea, basically.
Correct.
And what were the steps for that then?
So we took our 10 cups of water and added that into a pot and started with the sarsaparilla root, ginger root, licorice root, dandelion root, and birch bark and star anise. Most everything is going in there right away.
Yeah.
And we boiled that for
You
5.
you always want to boil it for 30. You just boil it and then bring the heat down to medium
to
low
simmer. Yes.
and
Okay.
simmer for 30.
Yeah. Okay. So you bring it to a boil, and then simmer it over low for 30 minutes. Get that going. Then you add the sassafras root bark and let it simmer for an additional 15 minutes. Once that's happened, you take it off the heat and stir in the sugar and let it cool to room temperature. And once it's cooled to room temperature, you can add your ginger bug and then put it into, this was very specific about the swing top bottles, but we I have swing tops because I love a swing top bottle these days.
I didn't have one available.
Like my reusable bottles. What can I say?
And real quick, it did say to let it cool to room temperature for about 2 hours. So it is a little bit of a time commitment to make that tea, get it cooled, and then get it into the fridge.
Yes.
Eventually.
Correct.
But so then we added the ginger bug.
Right. We added a half cup of ginger bug. I did end up adding a little bit of extra ginger bug at one point because I felt like the fermentation really wasn't going once I got it into the bottles. So I think I added about a tablespoon more of that to each bottle. So I ended up with a half a cup and 3 tablespoons, I guess, was what I ended up adding to mine to make it go. And yeah, put it in bottles and let it sit.
Put in bottles, let it sit at room temperature for 2 days, and then move it to the fridge for 3.
Oh, and we have strained out all our botanicals after it cooled. So it cooled
that's right.
with all the tea ingredients in it. Then we strained it. Then we added the bug. That was the important part, is making sure you leave those botanicals in for a little bit more extraction. Then once you're ready to add your ginger bug, strain it so that you don't have all of that in there.
Yes. And those are the herbs I kept aside because I did want to make a simple syrup from them, but decided, no, I don't really want to do that. But yeah, then into the fridge it went. Well, 2 days at room temperature, like we said. Leave it alone, make sure it's fermenting. And that's at that stage when you added a little bit more of the ginger bug because it wasn't bubbling.
After 24 hours, I didn't really see any bubbles. So I wanted just to push that a little bit. And that's when I added the extra bit of ginger bug to it.
A bubble boost.
Bubble boost, yes.
And then, so it's very specifically serve it over ice, but you want it in the fridge for 3 days to allow the bubbles to set. Gretchen did say that at the beginning, but now we're full circle giving context to that. And tasty.
Yeah, I think it's time to see if we
time.
can make our root beer floats.
Okay,
let's do this. Here I come to save the day. Okay, I'm pretty sure my molds worked out amazing, by the way. So.
Oh my gosh, perfect.
But I'm waiting till the last second to pull them out of the freezer and plop it in the top so that hopefully it'll hold its shape long enough for me to get a good picture.
Yeah. I'm gonna use two of my ice cream cubes now, and then make another one later, I think.
Nice.
Noises.
Yeah. Scraping noises. Door opening noises. Okay. I'm gonna pour my root beer over the top.
Pouring root beer.
Well, it's a little bit of a bummer because it is not very foamy.
No, nothing. Like 2 bubbles on the side.
Yeah. It's not impressive like most root beer floats.
Yeah.
It's missing that
foamage.
Missing the foam. Yeah, unfortunately. Not the best. I don't know. It wants to tip over. I can only see the eyes.
Drowning in the root beer.
All right. Tasting?
Do it. I don't dislike it. It's a bit of an acquired taste. If someone just handed me this with no context, I'd be like, what is this?
Yeah, yeah.
How is it with the pumpkin? It's really good with the vanilla.
Mm,
And I barely taste the ginger. So
okay. It's weird. It's really
It's weird.
weird. Probably would not be my go-to choice.
Because of the pumpkin?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
It's not bad. Hold on, I'm doing another bite here. But it's
Okay.
also a little weird because it's got graham cracker crust in it.
Like chunks?
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think I would go in on doing this again like that.
No pumpkin graham cracker. Got it. Well, I would try it again and I might play around with it. The author did suggest a few options for like if you wanted to make it a little bit milder, you could take out the dandelion root and add mint instead. There were options for like not using sugar and using maple syrup or honey or coconut sugar. So there's a couple of ways to play around with it too. I don't know if I'd make this again, this exact.
No, I probably would not make this exact version. I would definitely want to play around with my herb combo so that it was a little bit more to my taste. I think yeah, I don't know if I'd back off some on the dandelion root. I wonder if that is providing some bitter note. Wonder if you could do, oh, you know what I might add would be chicory as a instead of dandelion root. Wonder if I have any chicory around.
That could be interesting. I was wondering how a little cinnamon might be.
Yeah.
Cinnamon stick.
A little cinnamon stick, might throw an extra clove in. I think I'd bump up the licorice root a little bit too, just for because I think that is
Yeah.
really the flavor I really liked. And
Yeah.
and I would also be curious because we did buy one batch of the various barks and roots and stuff to share. So we are kind of having a similar experience.
Yeah.
But I was also concerned a little bit about the freshness of these, and so I'd be interested to try maybe a different brand or
Mhm.
just to see if the flavoring would be better. But
Totally.
I'm not mad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a fun experiment.
It was very fun. I learned a ton. And I kind of want to make individual teas of each one and see if I can get a better
Blend.
taste for each flavor and then go from there. Because I love root beer and I hate just buying sugar. So
Yeah.
it would be really cool to be able to make it more often on my own. But yeah, I'm proud of us. This was a long time coming and we did it. It's a little funky, but we did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I probably could just make like a little bit of an extra like tea, like licorice root tea and add that in
Uh-huh. Yeah.
just to see what that does, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, lots to try, lots to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, if you made it this far, thank you for making it all the way to the end and like and subscribe. And hey, come subscribe to our Patreon because
Yes.
we have one of those. And
We have one of those.
we have one of those. We add stuff to sporadically. Well, we have a whole bunch of stuff up there, really. And then
Yeah.
now we're gonna.
We have a bunch of stuff on Patreon. We took a long break. We're getting back into it. We've got YouTube up. It's the audio of the podcast, but it has subtitles. So if that's something you're into, you can check that out. And like and subscribe, follow, telling everyone about us till they're so sick of it. And then just tell them one more little funny thing we said. And let's get out of here and enjoy our funky floats.
Funky floats.
Funky floats.
Oh, that's
I
our out.
did like the numbing a little.
Like I'd like to be a little more numb. Thank you. Yes, please.
Yeah, really. Is there caffeine in this? What's caffeine?
No.
Let's talk about that another time, but there's no
Yeah.
caffeine.
No caffeine,
Okay.
because you would need like tea or coffee or something like that
Something.
in there. Yeah.
Okay.
So that no stimulants, all just
Okay.
rooty thing.
Rudy things. Yeah. All right, let's get out of here.
Bye.
Bye.